Today I'll be wrapping this square stone into this pendant. First, you will need 4 5-inch lengths of 20 gauge square wire. I'm going to measure and then mark the middle of these wires. Grab a 6-inch piece of 22 gauge half round wire and start wrapping around the square wires. These wires will be very visible on the front, so it's important to take your time to get these wires completely straight and neat. I'm going to use the pliers to help wrap the tail end of this wire tightly around the square wires. I want to end this wire tail partway through so that the very end lies within the middle of the group of wires, and then this will be on the inside of the frame. Continue wrapping until there are 5 wraps on the front side, 4 wraps on the back, plus 2 little halves there. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the middle line that I marked earlier. Using these chain nose pliers to flatten the wire helps get a crispy bend around the edges of the square wires. I have to cut just a little bit off to match the other ones that I did. Make sure the end is on the same side as the rest. It's always a good idea to check the measurements as you go to make sure everything is still centered. Also, compare the length of the wraps you just did to the stone to make sure that the spacing is still good. Finish up this side to match the other one. And of course, make sure that there are no sharp ends poking out, and compare the wraps to the stone one more time. Now I'm going to bend the entire piece exactly at that middle mark line. The edge of the chain nose pliers are going to be flush with that line. Check the corner of the stone to the corner of the wire that we just made. And this could go a little more. Now that fits nicely into the frame. I'm going to mark these next corners on both sides. Flip to the back side now and bend the last wire on each side and bend them up at the wire wrap. Use the chain nose pliers to make the corners sharper. Now we're going to cross the wires towards each other to make this X shape. Place the stone into the frame and then line up the back wires to support the back stone at the side corners. I'm going to then chuck the stone and bend this corner off camera, right at the line that we made earlier. Before I bend the other corner, I need to make some depth on these back wires so that the stone sits better into the frame. I need to remark this corner now. Now drop the stone again and fit the chain nose pliers right on the corner line and bend. The stone fits very nicely into the frame so far. Now I want to orient these wires so they are laced together like this, with the right side being on the top and the front. Pull the right side wire down over the front of the piece. Pull the left side down over the front, but behind the first wire. And now the same with the second wire on the right. And then the second wire on the left. Flipping to the back side. Now we are going to take this backside second row of wires and bend them straight up at the top corner. It can be a little tricky to get the pliers in to make this bend. These are going to be the pendant bail wires. Starting with the backside inner back wire and wrap it around the bail wires. I have to move these front wires out of the way slightly. I'll move them back in a minute. Very slowly and carefully, continue to wrap this wire all the way around the bail wires as neatly as possible. And end the wire on the front side of the bail. Continue with the other backside wire and wrap it only halfway around, but underneath the first wrap. Trim this and also tuck it into the front side. Now we are left with these 4 wires on the front side. Starting with the second wire on the left side, wrap around the bail wires, crossing over the top of the previous wraps, going all the way around the bail wires. Ending on the front side. Trim the wire and tuck in the end. Grab the second wire on the right side and cross over the other wire, making an X shape over the front. This wire is actually going to go underneath these other wraps on the bail, and then go part way over the front where we will end this wire. And then this end will kind of rest against this other wire on the front. Now we just have these 2 frontmost wires to deal with. Take this wire and wrap it around the back. Again, going underneath the other wraps. Going part way over the top. I'm actually going to mark exactly where I want to make the cut. This will butt up against this other wire, just like the other side. This last wire I will do the same thing and wrap it around the bail wire, going underneath the rest of the wraps. I'm going to end this wire going underneath all of the wires on the front. At this point, I make a bail that I ultimately ended up undoing completely. This was the bail. And this is the new bail. As you can see, the second bail is better, so we're gonna go with that one. So we're gonna cut to after I undid the ugly bail. I'm sure your wires are not as messed up as mine at this point, but it doesn't matter. This thing is gonna clean up really nice. Using the round nose pliers, bend the bail wires over the top and then towards the back. Now sweep both wires to one side and then wrap each wire around the front. I'm going to end these wires on the back side, tucking the ends under the bail loop. Adjust the wires until everything looks good. And there it is, the Square Stone Pendant. I hope you enjoyed watching this piece be created. Please subscribe if you like making stuff like this. And as always, thanks for watching.